Hey guys, Mike from Magnanimous here, and today we're back taking a look at RED cameras, and a small feature that many people may not know exists that's present on both the DSMC-1 and DSMC-2 cameras, and that's back focusing the camera. Typically this is done on the lenses with shims, but these RED models feature a movable sensor block that allows you to adjust the back focus of the camera based on whatever lenses that you're using. And this ensures that focus markings here on the side of the lens match reality, so that if I focus to 3 feet on the lens and I stand 3 feet from my camera, I am in fact in focus. Failure to properly back focus can result in those focus markings being off, soft focus, or in the worst cases, the inability to actually reach infinity focus. So I wanted to show you how you could effectively back focus if you're in a pinch on set. Now, obviously, in an ideal world, this is going to happen here in the shop at a test station in a very controlled environment where you can be as precise as possible. But let's be real, production rarely exists in the most precise environments. And so sometimes you might be in the field or at home and be in a pinch and need to do this. So we've created a RED back focusing kit, which will include a lightweight travel focus chart, as well as a small tape measure and the necessary T10 tool to adjust that focus. And I just wanted to walk you through the process to adjust that. To start, there's a couple things we want to take a look at. First and foremost, on the side of our camera here, and this will be the case on all DSMC-2 models. In this case, we've got the RED Gemini 5K here, and we're pairing it with our Lights Summicron 50mm. If we pop open this side panel though, just for star keys, which are able to be taken off with that same T10 tool I was talking about. If we remove this, we're actually going to see a lock screw that you can utilize to lock that sensor plane so that it can't be adjusted. It's important to ensure that it's not locked. We won't lock these when we ship it to you, but if you're using your own camera or a camera from somewhere else, you want to make sure it's not locked, because if you try and back focus the camera while it's locked, you will damage that sensor block. And it's a very expensive repair. You'll see here that our lock screw's stored where it should be, and our sensor plane is going to be able to be adjusted. So let's pop our cover back on. The other one to be familiar with is right down here underneath our RED logo in the front. You're going to see a small red socket cap. I'm going to go ahead and remove that, as underneath this is the star key that we need to access to adjust our focus. And you can see there, it's just a small little cap that sits, and I'm going to set this aside because we want to make sure we save that so that we have it to put on when we're finished. Now I'm going to flip our camera around so it can face the wall here, and let's talk about the basic principle about what we're about to do. We want our focus markings here to match reality, so what we need to do is establish what reality is. I'm pointing at the wall here, so I'm going to go ahead and set my focus chart up on the wall. We want to try and set this so that it sits even with our camera, so that the center of the camera hits the center of this lens, or I'm sorry, the center of the chart. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw some tape on here and pop this on where it can sit nice in the center there. We might need to adjust just slightly. And the idea is we want to measure from that focus chart to the sensor plane of our camera, and we're going to set the distance. In this case, I'm aiming for 4 feet. I've found 4 feet to be the most easily replicable distance across a full set of lenses. Even when you're on extreme wide ends, it's close enough that you can still see critical focus, and on telephoto ends, you're still able to hit 4 feet with your minimum focus. So let's take our tape measure here. I'm going to pull this out and we're going to set it at 4 feet. We're looking for this marking here, which for those of you who don't know, represents the exact plane of our sensor. I'm going to set this at the center of our chart and we're going to look and see where 4 feet lands. In this case, we're a little bit too forward. Now, I'm using a Sattler DV12 for this because it features a slidable head, which makes it very easy to adjust camera position in a precise way for things like this. So, I'm going to loosen the side and I'm going to slide our camera back a few inches. I'm guessing about there is probably going to be correct. And let's measure again from the center of our chart here, and you'll see we've hit 4 feet exact. Then, now that we've established the proper distance from our camera, let's focus our lens to 4 feet. It says 4 feet here, and we do want to make sure that the lens is wide open at its lowest aperture value so that we're testing in the widest possible position. Then let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to use the magnify tool on the red here by hitting 1 on the side of our monitor to go ahead and zoom in. And then with our small HD here, we can actually zoom in even further if we need to by toggling the switch here. But you'll see as we look towards the center of our Siemens star there that our focus is off. If I were to try and get that precise, that would probably be a good focus, but we're actually falling closer to like 4 feet 6 inches rather than 4 feet. So we obviously need to adjust our sensor position. I'm going to tilt down just slightly to center up that star. And we're going to take our star key here, feed it into the front. You'll feel it when it fits into that screw in there. And very lightly, I'm going to adjust our focus and attempt to bring that into focus. And we're going to watch our star there. Now, I'm purposely going to overshoot it because I want to find the best position we can. So now we've passed a good focus. We're starting to go back out of focus in the center. So I'm going to bring this back, and we're looking for those lines to converge as cleanly as we can. And I find about there's looking good, so I'll leave it there. Now, before I throw my cap back on, I like to zoom out, and I'm going to conduct one more safety test just to double check my focus markings. I'm going to zoom off, or focus off, and without looking at my lens, I'm just going to focus by eye off of my monitor, and I'm going to attempt to pull focus so that center is sharp. Right there looks good to me, and let's check and look what our lens is at. We are at 4 feet exact, meaning we have properly back focused this camera, and our markings and our infinity focus should all be correct. Now, in an ideal world, every lens in a set is going to match, so you should only have to back focus to one of the set. But it is good practice to have your AC, when they're doing camera prep, double check those focus markings across the full set, just to ensure that everything's correct. And then if you were to change lenses for a different production or something like that, back focus to those new lenses to double check them as well. One rule of thumb, if you are using an EF mount with photo lenses, typically we won't worry about back focus because the margin of error with those is much wider and you're generally still going to find good focus. But this is applicable to any lens that you'll use across any RED camera within the DSMC-1 or DSMC-2s. If you're using the newer, more modern REDs, such as the V-Raptor or the Komodo, those feature a locked sensor block, so this isn't as applicable. But if you guys are interested in renting the back focus kit for your next production or just learning more about how to conduct this process, as always, give us a call or visit magrents.com.